Hey, thanks for checking out the Aaron Advantage. In last week's video, I talked about whether or not you think you should buy a foreclosed property. One of those points was the fact that you're buying homes as is. Today, I'm going to talk about some of the ways that previous owners have destroyed their homes before going into foreclosure. One of the things you have to take into consideration when you're looking at a property is to make sure you understand all the things the previous owner did in that home. There was actually a property that somebody was showing at one point in time after the seller had been living there for some time without the utilities turned on, and there was a lot of damage done. First off, they set up a shower inside their house using a garden hose from the neighbor's property, just spraying water anywhere they could, and it wasn't really draining in any particular spot. The second thing that was a massive problem was they set up a fire pit inside the living room, and that's what they were using to cook and heat their home. Doesn't necessarily sound that bad until you take into consideration that they set the fire pit up over the hardwood floors in the living room, completely destroying them and making sure that the next person was going to have to tear out everything. Another thing you might want to take into consideration is make sure that you're absolutely as careful as possible when you're going through the home. Some sellers are specifically ticked off about other people potentially coming in to buy their home just because they might have missed some payments and fallen on hard times. One thing that has come up time and time again are booby-trapped doors inside properties. A lot of times people will take them off the hinges so that when you go to open a door, it might just fall off and kind of trip you up as you're going through the home. Sometimes they'll even do this with glass-plated mirrored doors on closets, causing somebody to knock them over and shatter glass throughout the property. So always make sure you're being as careful as possible when you're looking at any foreclosed property. One of the other big things that a lot of people do, which is absolutely horrible, is steal high-end finishes out of properties. What do I mean by that? I've been in homes where kitchens have been completely gutted by people before they get foreclosed on. Granite countertops, kitchen cabinets, sinks, even appliances that have been built in have been ripped out to be taken and sold so some of those people can recoup extra costs. Sometimes they don't even just stop at the kitchen or the bathroom appliances and fixtures. I've even heard tales where people have ripped out plumbing just to go and sell the copper to get as much money out of the property as possible, or even some of the trim work throughout the home. An additional thing that most people don't even think about is the refrigerator. As far as I'm concerned, if you're buying a foreclosed home, just assume that you're throwing that thing out, because a lot of times people leave food, milk, meat, all kinds of things inside the fridge so that when the utilities get shut off, they get completely inundated with mold and just the most awful stench of rotten food that you can imagine. If there's still a refrigerator inside the home when you go to look at a foreclosed property, don't open it. Trust me on this one, that is a next level tip that you will want to listen to. Not only do people take fixtures, plumbing, wiring, and things of that nature, HVAC units often go missing from foreclosed homes. Whether the previous seller goes and tears them out to try to sell any of the metal or anything else for scrap is not necessarily always the case. But once a property sits empty and vacant for a while, vandals are often going to be able to come into the property and steal as much copper or any other material out of there as possible. So a lot of times if you're going to look at the home, look around the property everywhere you can to see if the AC condenser is still there. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to show a property and it's been missing. And last but not least, one of the worst stories I've ever heard is the destroyed drain lines that a Texas man implemented in a house whenever he got foreclosed on. He wasn't real happy about the fact that he wasn't able to continue making payments and didn't want the bank to take his home away from him. But once they finally got to the position that they were kicking him out, he poured concrete down all the drain lines in the house, punched massive holes in the drywall throughout the property, and tied up his truck to the front porch and pulled it off the home. The damage was so significant that the bank actually couldn't even put it back up on the market, and they ended up tearing it down and selling the land itself to a new prospective home builder. Unfortunately, this is not the first time I've heard stories like this, but it absolutely breaks my heart to know that people just go and destroy these homes once they aren't able to make their payments. Be sure to check the link on the description on this video to find additional information on homes that have been destroyed during the foreclosure process, and make sure to let me know in the comments down below any other crazy stories you might have heard. Also, you can feel free to tweet me at Aaron Advantage with additional foreclosure stories that you might know about.